Well, welcome back everybody to the online program for the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in beautiful Powell River, British Columbia. And we've been talking about this idea of change and recovery. Some people think you don't actually change. Some people think you change radically. And other people, such as what we mentioned last time, is say, well, there is a change, but really what it is you're getting back to who you are as a person, what you believe in, and your values and things like that. So there is a change, but it's sort of getting back to where you were before you got into the addiction. Okay. And I've got this AA chip, right? My little AA chip here, and it says, "To thine own self be true." So in a sense, this is what we talked about last week, right? Getting back to sort of the idea of being true to yourself. But the kicker in recovery is that sometimes, because of the addiction, we've actually grown as human beings, right? That comment, the idea we spoke about last week about growing from the acorn naturally into the oak, and that's now been interrupted in recovery. But now we are in active addiction. But now in recovery, we're going to continue on with this process. But this new growth process is going to be different because of the addiction, right? And this idea of people now growing because they had an addiction and now have overcome it. I don't know if you've been to 12-step programs and have ever heard the comment, "I'm so thankful I was an addict." Right? Because if I hadn't gone through that hell, I would never have appreciated, how beautiful life could be, or how strong I am as a human being, something along that line, right? So people then, in this growth period because of the addiction, they actually do change. They actually do become a little different because they're now looking at things. They've grown as a human being and overcome barriers, right? So here's sort of a little slight variation on what we talked about last week, that we're not really going to get back to who we were as a person. We're actually going to develop into the new improved person. Okay? So it's a slightly different one, but still different because we're still growing and we're moving on and we're becoming a bigger and better oak tree. Right? So that's a fourth way of looking at this change. In many ways, it probably depends on what psychology you believe in. But I don't know, this idea of allowing the real human being to emerge seems to be a pretty potent way of looking at this change in recovery. And I don't know if you remember that, but we used that Viktor Frankl exercise when you were at Sunshine Coast, and we asked you to write your own eulogy, right? Pretend that from this day forward you went on and lived this great life, and then you die, and now someone will say your eulogy at your funeral. And what do you want that person to say about you? And if you recall, there weren't a lot of people who talked about, oh yeah, and he was a millionaire and he made lots of money, and oh yes, he was a very powerful CEO of a big corporation. Now people don't talk about that stuff at all. They talk about being a man of integrity, being a loving father and a husband or partner. They talk about being there for people who need them. They talk about doing the right thing regardless of the cost and regardless of how easy or difficult it is. These things, right? These are the key values that people have. And then in recovery, then it becomes a matter of trying to live up to those things, because these are what people truly value. Anyway, it's that sort of a new and improved oak tree kind of idea. So that's May's online program, and we'll be back next month with another one.